Wadawurrung narik dian, Wadawurrung actanuk, Makbarian Wadawurrung bagaruk, Manamaith mirabea, Nailinga Wadawurrung bake, Karingarabu Bunja the eagle, Wa the crow, Kimbani Ba Dian Gilson. Welcome to Wadawurrung country.
Live from Wadawurrung country, welcome to Lance TV. Coming to you from the palatial new Camp Street Studios in Ballarat, get ready to laugh, think, love and sparkle. And now, it's time to turn that camp dial all the way up to fabulous. Here's your host, the multi-award-winning Lance-tastic, Lance DePoyle.
Just twerking away, and you're watching Lance TV. I'm Lance DePoyle, and we're coming to you live from Wadawurrung country, the resting place of Bunja the Eagle here in Ballarat. Hope you're well. Happy Pride Month if you're still celebrating, because there's still a few weeks left to go. So get a drink, come on, let's sit down and see what's been happening in the world around us. Hope you've all been well. What have I been up to this week? Stuff. But I'll tell you who else has been doing stuff this week is the ever lovely Dina Curie. For those of you who are aware of a magazine called Q News, if you're in Queensland or New South Wales, you can expect a Victorian copy to be released. I think it's next week, it's launched. Sophie, could you bring up the graphic, please? So there is the inaugural Q News front cover from, looks like Victorian Pride Hub there down in St Kilda. But you can see in the middle there that little purple bit. And Victoria just got queerer. Yes, it did. Thank you, Frock Hudson. And a special shout out to Dean R. Curie, who is not only the editor of the Victorian Q News, but when you look through and read the Q News, you'll realise that most of the articles have actually been written by Dina Curie. So he's been super busy. He's been on Joy FM. He has been drag queening all over Victoria. Thank you, Frock. But not only is the Q News, the first edition, you know, looking marvellous, but if we go in and look at page 20, there's a whole article there about Ballarat is bursting with pride, and that's talking about Pride Month here in Ballarat. If you're a regular to the show, you'd know all about it. There's another page there as well, so yep, there we go. And if you look up the top corner, there's Hollywood there at TBH with Mr. Mayor in the middle there, looking very happy. There are 1,000,003 things to do here in Ballarat. Thanks, Soph. And if you're looking for something unusual or different, nice, unusual to do for Pride Month, why not come up to Ballarat one weekend and have a look. If you are keen to come up or across or down from, you know, wherever you are, you can go to, I think the website is ballaratpride.com.au, not really sure. But if you put in Ballarat Pride into your search engine, you'll find it. And I totally invite you, come up, see Ballarat. It is a wonderful community here and there's so much love in this place for everyone. So come on up. Speaking about love for everyone in this place, I would like to introduce us now to tonight's wonderful guest. They've come all the way from Ballarat to be here tonight. Please put your hands together for the one and only Dr. Rachel Goff. Darling!
Hello.
Mwah, mwah. Oh, looking splendid.
Let me be of leisure.
Screen yourself on the seat.
I will throw myself down.
Oh, thank you so much. I love that you've dressed up occasion for us tonight.
Yes, wearing my 30-year-old earrings, vintage.
Oh, there you go. Vintage. You're so humble with it too.
I know, totally.
You are a lecturer at a university. Who would have thought that about you?
I'm sure many people. When I was in primary school, for example, actually in high school, I won the award for never stepping foot inside a bottle shop and most likely to finish a university degree. a few university degrees later, here I am.
And is half of that correct? Or is it all correct?
Half of that is correct.
Yeah, well, without giving too much away, I think we know which half. Thank you so much for being on the show. As a lecturer, what is your field of interest?
Yeah, so I'm a social worker and a sociologist. So I teach social work and also social sciences.
And with sociology, like we hear the term sociology. But what does sociology look at?
So sociology is the study of society. And so for me, that means, being really curious about how communities work, how the bigger kind of social structures within our society impact on individuals and, how people have control to make change within the world that we live in.
Amazing. Your eyes are so twinkly too. Just talking about that, like you're really like in the moment with what it is. You love what you do.
I love my job. I absolutely love my job. So there's a social science part and then the social work part of it, which is a different qualification, but it's basically working with communities in order to break the system apart, essentially.
Break the system.
Yeah.
Break the system.
Break the system.
With that in mind, let us go to our first segment because I'm itching to get to this interview with Dr. Rachel Goff. Let's go to the first segment though. This is a segment that's put together by the ever lovely Dr. Sophie. The segment is called Lance TV Artist Corner and the artist tonight is Matt Ram. See you after this.
I'm Matt, local photographer and videographer. I'm also a writer and a podcaster. A lot of the things I write about are to do with colonisation and to do with racism and growing up poor and growing up in a very, restrictive kind of environment. So, as a big part of my writing, I also have a podcast. My partner and I have a podcast called In What World, where we roll a dice on a table, which then gives us a prompt. We then discuss that prompt for usually around about half an hour.
Okay, so what does a free potato society look like on Earth? Is it that they're no longer being eaten?
And we then go away for 10 minutes, and we time it. It is only 10 minutes. When we write flash fiction, normally I end up with around about 100 to 150 words.
Looking back on history and looking back on the Irish potato famine, the whole idea was that there was a surplus of potatoes, but they were all being shipped to England, so all these Irish people died. So if we take that on more of a macro scale and say that there's an abundance of potatoes, but people are still dying because they've been hoarded by like 3 people. So the human race ended up dying out with just all of these potatoes left.
What I've had so far is usually stories of home and leaving home and stories of a very militaristic society, even about potato space marines.
Generating their own energy.
That's how the first potato gained a life force, and that's how he then taught the other potatoes to become a higher potato.
So the prompt was, in what world is a battery a system of government? And from there we ended up with potatoes as batteries. We just ran with it and we ended up with potatoes leaving Earth and then coming back to recolonise. And
the humans had called us chips, hashies, gems or roasties. Some were even unlucky enough to be called crisps, but we kept them out of the fighting. Our human overlords long dead, we thought we were safe. Until our once forgotten brothers fell from the skies to claim what we had earned. Called to fight, I would die before I ever saw the inside of an oven again.
I bought my first digital camera back in 2019 and then realised something, that I was really shit at it. And so I kind of put the camera down in the doom pile of hyperfixations like every other middle-aged autistic man. Probably about start of last year, I was in a job that I hated. I was commuting to Melbourne. I was working 12 hours a day from the time I got up to the time I got home. It was just, I was miserable. So I quit the job and thought, well, what am I going to do now? Let's look at studying. I looked up photography courses and I looked up video courses, and I came across this course in digital content creation, which I honestly thought, I looked at it, I thought, design, I'll get through it, I'll probably hate it, but I'll get through it. Film was what I really wanted to do. And it turns out that that's the one that I'm finding the hardest. The photography I'm finding quite easy, and quite easy in the sense that, I don't want to sort of toot my own trumpet too much here, easy in the sense that I know how to compose a good shot, and I know I've got some strange ideas sometimes that I'll kind of look at and go, that's messed up even for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. I also have an idea where I want to explore the darker side of autism as well. So what a lot of people don't talk about is that so many of us suffer with very real world problems, like we're much more likely to be sexually assaulted, we're much more likely to suffer addiction. I myself am in long-term recovery, but we are much more likely to suffer trauma from school, or we are much more likely to have a negative relationship with the law. And that's something that I really want to explore in my work. If you are feeling like this isn't me, I'm miserable, this isn't what I want, just go and do it. Like, if you're thinking, well, how am I going to pay X, Y, Z? How am I going to make money? How am I going to... That'll sort itself out. Go and do your passion. There's no reason why you can't. The only reason why I moved forward with it was because I no longer had somebody in my life telling me no. So I went and did it, and I've never been happier.
And there we go. That was a really interesting interview by Matt Ram, and the message towards the end that he said too, like, if you're going to do something you love. And that's the little hint that I was getting from you before we went on to the break.
Absolutely.
Go and do something you love.
Definitely.
How did you know lecturing was going to be your thing?
Oh, look, I'm such an exhibitionist, Lance. Like, of course, I needed to be in front of an audience. No, not really.
But really.
Maybe a little bit. For me, it's just always been a curiosity of learning and a curiosity of sharing ideas. And so to be able to be in a position to do both of those things at the same time and facilitate other people's learning and engagement with ideas, it just really felt like that was what I wanted to do. So I always knew that I was going to do it. It was just a matter of taking my time to get there in a way that felt good and felt right for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And it is that thing. I mean, I know with Lance, doing Lance TV, it is absolutely something I love doing, because I get to meet so many people like yourself. Yeah. And in the 7 years we've been doing the show, I've never heard the same story twice. Yeah. Out of, nearly 500 interviews, I guess. Yeah. In the scheme of things. Yeah. How easy was it for you? I mean, again, not going into the interview, but how easy was it for you to know what it was you loved doing?
Well, I was always, a good student at school. I loved school. I had teachers who really inspired me. I was always really curious about ideas. I loved reading. I loved, just different stories from all around the world. And so those things have just never rubbed off. I did have some careers counselling actually when I was 20, and the careers counsellor said, you'll either be a journalist or a counsellor. Fast forward, 20 years later, and I'm kind of this weird combination of both of those things, being, writing and teaching people how to work well with other people. So, yeah, here I am.
Do you have a book? Welcome back. You're watching Let's TV and Let's Boil, and we're here with the very lovely Dr. Rachel Goff. Look at you. You're hilarious. I love those earrings too. I think they're wonderful. As you would know, because you're an avid viewer of Lance TV, you've seen 3
Avid.
episodes over 7 years.
A few more.
Oh, okay, 5. Our opening question to all of our guests for 7 years has been, where were you born?
So glad you asked. I was born in the Queen Victoria Hospital in Naarm, Melbourne. So I was born there. Incidentally, my work is now the next block over, so I think that's a little bit creepy,
You've gone
strange.
full circle.
I have. But I actually grew up in Gunai land, which is down in East Gippsland, a little place some of you might know as Lakes Entrance.
Oh, we love, I think all of us at one time have been to Lakes Entrance for a camping trip of some sort.
The beach and ice cream in summer, yes, when all of the locals go into hiding because the town swells to 250,000 people. So I grew up there. I lived there for the first 18 years of my life. And it's a cute little place.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You were born into quite a religious household. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so both sides of my family actually are very strong in their faith and in their community service. My grandpa on my dad's side was a Uniting Church minister for 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And my mum's dad was also a lay preacher in the Uniting Church for a very, very, very long time.
Gosh.
Yeah, so both sides of my family quite...
Wade in the water. Sorry, just sort of
Not quite like that, more like, I can't remember any of the hymns when I was, a kid, but yeah, I think I only missed church twice between the ages of, 0 and 18. I don't remember any other times of missing church. I think once was because I had chicken pox. And, we might have been on holidays a couple of other times. But, growing up in a religious family with strong sense of spirituality, a strong sense of justice, strong sense of community care.
And you said, like, when we were organising this interview before we went to broadcast tonight, you were saying that social justice and care of community was really part of your DNA and been handed down. Talk to us more about that.
Very much. I remember once when I was about 10, sitting at my grand's dining room table, and there was a knock on the door, and it was a person who, was sleeping rough, didn't have anywhere to go, and Gran just reached into her cupboard and gave him a couple of cans of soup, and it just was no questions asked. So there was just always a very strong sense of service in our family. So I've got lots of different examples like that really, I guess, modelled to me the importance of reaching in to people and to not asking questions, not judging, but just meeting people where they're at, wherever they're at with life.
Meeting humanity with humanity.
Yeah.
Amazing. When you were growing up in Lakes Entrance, what was the general kind of population? Like, how big was Lakes Entrance when you were young?
Oh, look, I think it was about 3,000, 4,000 people. And we were quite a well-known family. So my grandparents, ran their own electrical business for 50 years. And so everybody knew my gran, everybody knew, her baking. So people used to buy her biscuits and put them in the freezer. And she was also a religious education teacher for a very long time, as was my mum. So lots of people knew my family, and so it never really felt like I could sort of get away with anything. So I was always on my best behaviour because people were watching.
God was watching you.
God was
watching.
Was God watching? Maybe, yeah.
The reason I asked population, so Lakes Entrance, about 3,000 people, give or take, and you were quite a prominent family. You, at the age of 18, though, you left Lakes Entrance for university. You moved to Heidelberg to attend La Trobe University out there at Bandura. Speak to us about the culture shock that you met leaving Lakes Entrance to find yourself in a population of, 2.5 million, 3 million people at the time.
Wow. I mean, growing up in a fairly homogenous town that was quite small, and we were quite, I guess, insular in the sense that we, spent most of the time with our family and also with people in the church. I remember it was only a couple of days after I moved to Melbourne that I saw a Muslim woman for the first time dressed in a hijab. And I just remember feeling like I've really entered the world now. And I didn't feel quite prepared for that. But then, going to university and sitting in classrooms with other really strong Muslim women who were talking about their faith and their spirituality, it was just completely mind-opening and eye-boggling for me. And I just remember having those moments of going, wow, I've missed out on so much, but here I am. It felt like I'd arrived, but I had a lot of catching up to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing. I'd not heard that story before. And for those in the know, Dr. Rachel and I have known each other for a couple of years now. But all things being good and well in the world, we do have to go for a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have some more of the lovely Dr. Rachel Goff.
Ta-da.
Right after this. Dr. Sophie made those little stingers. Thank you, Dr. Sophie. Our stream has been going quite well tonight. Last week we had an amazing interview with the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under.
Unreal.
Season 3, the amazing Isis Avis Loren. But it was a great interview. We were fraught with absolute disaster because Isis kept dropping out from their end. But we got about halfway through the show and all of a sudden White Knight started turning on and off the NBN. So we'd be streaming and then Sophie would be in the bio box like ripping her hair out. I'm noticing on my phone that it's going connection, like looking for a connection. We'd never seen it before and so we rode it. Unbeknownst to us, Sophie knew and there was no communication out here, but Channel 31, we went to black, we were back, we go to black, we come back, Facebook was like on, off. And and at the end of the show, I looked at Dr. Sophie and said, what happened? And Dr. Sophie was like, I think it was all the testing they were doing for White Knight. It was kind of like, I said, note to self,
Yikes.
Do not do a show from Ballarat Central when White Knight is on.
Yikes.
No! Leave town, go and do a show somewhere else. But it was a little frustrating, but we got there and hopefully tonight's a better even show. What I do want to say too is we are live on Facebook, Lance TV Ballarat. Yes, Lance TV Ballarat on Facebook. If you have any messages you'd like to send in, and I will ask on your behalf to the lovely Dr. Rachel Goff if you would like to do that, because that would be great.
Send me a love letter.
Oh, there you go. Amazing. There we go. Cheryl Zlozley. Loving the pride flags on the set, loving the work that Rachel does for our community. Rainbow.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. Hope you're well, hope you're feeling better, and make sure you pat my dog. Welcome back. You're watching Let's TV. I am Lance DeBoyle still, and we are here still with the lovely Dr. Rachel Goff. Do you like the way I keep going, Dr. Rachel this, Dr. Rachel that?
People know I'm a doctor. You can drop it now.
No. Maybe I'll just cut straight. Doctor? No.
The first couple of months after I got my PhD, I was, doctor everything, but it's still doctor's rules in my house. My wife will tell you. So, yeah.
You've been told. Getting a PhD though, there's a lot of work that goes into that. How big was how many words was your thesis? Was it 100,000?
Yeah, a PhD is anywhere between 90 and 100,000 words.
So it's a chunky book.
Yeah.
How many A4 pages is that?
Oh, look, I
Or
think
how many
there was...
reams of 500?
It was over 280 pages or something
So
in
it
the
was
end.
half a ream.
Yeah.
Did they have diagrams in it as well?
Yeah, it did.
So you got your doings out.
Had lots of figures, had lots of photos, had lots of tables,
Wow, yeah. Photos are this much and the words kind of just around it, but lots of pictures.
Absolutely.
Would it be fair to say, though, that your love of education, you actually ended up being a professional student?
Oh, I think it's fair to say, Lance, definitely. So I started with a Bachelor of Arts. And I don't know, do you want me to list all of the letters after my name?
Go for it. Go for it. Do it. You're only on the show once.
No. LGBTQIA. Those are my letters. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do when I left school, actually. You know, I thought about teaching, then I thought about doing youth work. But in the end, you know, my curiosity of people and how, you know, culture creates people led me to decide to do a Bachelor of Arts and study anthropology at one of the best, you know, anthropology schools in the state.
And anthropology is the study of
culture
of the world before people and animals were on it.
It's just the study of culture. So how people interact with, you know, those. How culture influences how people behave and think and feel in the world.
Did you ever see that thing that was getting around on Facebook? And I don't know if it was attributed to Jane Goodall. I think it was. But there was some, and I never cross-referenced it to see, but I just wonder how much truth in it. So what was going around on Facebook for a while was something about the moment that civilization came to be was when there was a broken bone that had been found and the broken bone had actually been healed. And the conversation around it was that, you know, historically, if you had a broken bone, you were left to die. But this healed broken bone was an indicator that whoever broke their leg was actually cared for by someone or a group of people to bring them back up to speed again. And that this one little moment was branded as the beginning of civilization as we kind of know it. How would you react to that?
So anthropology would be the study of the interactions between people that constitute or would, you know, describe that system of care. So bones, I think, is more like paleontology.
Yeah, no, but I think it was more of an evidence-based conversation. Yeah. But I think it was attributed to Jane Goodall. So, don't know. I look at you going, that's really nice, but I don't know.
It's not my area of expertise.
Right, so because I always thought anthropology was kind of getting there and looking for the bones in the dirt and, there's a mummy and now we're all cursed.
Yeah.
That was anthropology.
Yeah, no, so anthropology really, you know, there's a lot of that observation of how people interact with each other and how they interact with their environment. So,
So a lot of leaning into social philosophy.
At times, that's more sociology.
Oh, look at you. Still not quite getting it.
Yeah, but in the end, I did a double major in English and history, did an honours degree in English and wrote, you know, a little thesis on women's experiences of spirituality, and I guess that really paved the way for the future study that I would do.
Yeah, amazing. And it was while you were at university too, and all of this kind of culture shock and looking around you and figuring out you and your own sense of self as a young Christian person that you really started to kind of question your own identity through all of that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, thinking back on that time, I was pretty brave actually, just to really sit with the discomfort and the tension of, you know, a certain system of thinking and thought, which is around you have to be a certain kind of way in order for, you know, God to love you or to get into heaven. But then being faced with the reality of who you feel like you are deep on the inside. So I was about 21, I think, when all of that really started to awaken in me. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a process to be where I am now, I guess. But yeah, coming out within a religious family is, I don't think many people would say it's all that fun. But, you know, everybody is on their own journey. I've got family members that are still on their own journey, and they're driving their own car, and I'm driving my own car. But I am lucky.
And going in different directions? Or
sometimes different directions, and that's okay. Because I know that I've got a good group of, you know, people around me, including some family members who love me and support me and, you know, celebrate me and all of the diversity in the world. So I count myself pretty lucky, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And with your spirituality, are you still attending church?
No, so it was about when I was 23, I made a decision to leave the church, not because I had a feeling that, you know, God, or however people want to describe God, didn't love or accept me, or that relationship with the other was, you know, that was okay. I just didn't want to put myself through what people said or decisions people made about what was or wasn't okay. So I made the decision to leave the church, and gosh, I miss the community, but also I feel really settled with where I've arrived at, and I would probably lean more towards Buddhist principles of living these days, and just having a sense of mindfulness and, you know, connection with people in the present.
Because it is, I mean, I don't personally know, so I can only imagine how big the question would have been, do I be faithful to my spirituality? Do I be faithful to my God? Or do I be faithful to myself?
Yes, yeah. Look, I actually did a piece of research around that. One of my, sounds stupid saying this, one of my master's degrees was looking at the experiences of gay Christian people who had been through conversion therapy, such as, you know, Exodus, like an ex-gay program. And so I really wanted to understand what was it about some gay Christian people that meant that they could get through those programs and be able to, you know, bring those different parts of their identities together. And so what I actually found with that is that it really depends on the type of Christianity that a person comes from and participates in.
So
and
which dogma that they're,
correct.
That they're either outrunning or...
Correct. But also what is considered plausible within that religious dogma as well. You know, that it is completely acceptable and achievable for somebody to change their sexuality. If that's considered a plausible thing, well, then people are more likely to participate in those kinds of ex-gay programs. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Oh, you. You are watching Lance TV. We need to go for a short break. But when we come back, we're going to have some more Dr. Rachel Goff. Yes. See you in a minute. And we're on Facebook. Yeah, cough. Come on. There we go. Great bit of footage right there. Got some lovely comments in the thread for you. Shani Kane Clifton.
Oh, Shani.
We love the Shani. What a wonderful human. I think all that know and love you feel pretty lucky.
Oh, Shani.
Yeah. There you go. And Cheryl Jalosi.
Again.
Yeah. Have you met the First Nations Professor of Anthropology at Melbourne Uni, Marcia Langton?
I have not, but I would dearly love to be in the same room as her.
I would too. I would love to have Marcia on the show at some point. I think that would be amazing. Shani Kane Clifton, I love you both so much! It's all in capitals.
Ah, Shani.
We love you too, darling. You're impeccable. We must catch up. Much better. We all become too busy. Because Shani and I did some wonderful work around Lance TV a couple of years ago now, and just life has just gone, no, we just got things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how life goes.
That's true.
Yeah, amazing. So I'm really curious, we probably haven't got much time to really talk about more about the Christianity and rainbow connection, but suffice to say that the lovely Max Walters, who lives here in Ballarat, Salvation Army background, he talks about claiming that rainbow where Noah and the Ark, and the whole kind of the rainbow was the saving grace, and so for Max, through his spirituality, claims that rainbow as being, his and his salvation and his road to safety.
It's a huge gap for so many of us in the community because, I think people forget that. I don't necessarily think that religion and sexuality are binary opposites. Like, so many of us in the community come from faith backgrounds that it's really sad that there is so much stigma surrounding religious belief when it just...
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back, Channel 31. You are watching Let's TV, and I'm still Lance DeBoyle, and we're still here with Dr. Rachel Goff.
Hello.
Hello, still here. Darling, what a wonderful journey you've taken us on. Let's talk about recent happenings. There is a little organisation in town called Tiny Pride that we've mentioned here on the show a few times. You're actually the co-chair for Tiny Pride, is that correct?
So I'm the second in charge.
Two I see.
I'm the deputy chair of the board of Tiny Pride, and I'm so proud to be a part of this little organisation that could. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So we've mentioned it a few times. We had Ramsey on the show maybe about 6 or 8 weeks ago now, and I've still got to come and sign your photo of me. Sorry, Ramsey. That's how we roll. What does Tiny Pride, what does it do?
Wow. What doesn't it do?
Does it do the washing on Saturdays now?
Occasionally. Yes. Tiny Pride is a little not-for-profit organisation that's based here in Wadawurrung country in Ballarat that supports or that works with small to medium enterprises to work with them to upskill them or to build out their safety for LGBTQIA plus community.
Why is Tiny Pride doing that? Because there's a rainbow tick that organisations can get.
Yeah.
So why aren't small and medium businesses going for rainbow tick?
Sure. So rainbow tick is predominantly for large organisations. So think organisations like a hospital. So it's designed for those large institutions to hold them accountable for community safety. But sometimes, a sole trader like a hairdresser or a cafe or, a retail business want to, might receive some feedback that they haven't, that a queer member of the community hasn't had, a fantastic experience there. And so to respond to that, those small to medium businesses, sole traders and other small businesses would approach and work with Tiny Pride, or Tiny Pride would develop an ongoing long-term relationship with them to coach them through building out their policies, to signal to our community, but also, through stickers and posters such as "You are safe here," because we all scan for and look for, signals that we are okay when we move into spaces. But we also...
But we have those organisations and businesses who bung up a rainbow sticker, and you walk in and you get misgendered, and it's like, why have you got...
That's right.
What's going on here?
And so the other thing that Tiny Pride does that's probably the most important is foundations training and also other training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Foundations training.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So that means working through things such as, what does the L mean? What does the G mean? What do pronouns mean? What do the different flags look like and mean? Why are these things important to have a go at, get wrong, and then get more right as time goes on? So what Tiny Pride will do is deliver that foundational, basics 101 training to a team, but also work with the team to develop out a more meaningful set of training and resources to assist that organisation to make sure that they are really hitting the mark in ways that are meaningful for them as a business and for their clientele and for the broader community.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So it's creating change at a grassroots level.
Yeah.
So people like me can go, mincing into a shop and know I'm safe.
That's right. And you're not just purchasing the training, you're not just purchasing a sticker, you are actually purchasing a long-term relationship and a commitment to working alongside Tiny Pride to respond to the community and as needs arise. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was almost a year ago here in Ballarat. I think it was last August, maybe.
I think so.
That Tiny Pride worked in collaboration with the Al Winters.
The Al Winters. We love the Al Winters.
And presented a forum here in Ballarat, which I think was the first of its kind, at least in Victoria, and it was called Policing
and the Rainbow.
The LGBTQIA plus community.
Policing and the Rainbow community.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us, can you just unpack the surface of what that was about?
Sure. So we know that the LGBTQIA plus community and the police don't necessarily have, historically a fantastic relationship.
No, it's a little bit oil and water sometimes.
That's right. Unfortunately, we exist in a world where LGBTQIA plus safety is threatened, and we do need to call upon those systems, such as the police, that are, there to keep community at large safe. And so what the Policing and the Rainbow community here in Ballarat, what the forum aimed to achieve was knitting together that relationship between the local LGBTQI plus community and also the local police force. And so part of that was hearing from each other, being in relationship with each other, but also working together to develop out a strategy for moving forward, which made it a really productive session. And, pretty proud to say that the forum was nominated for a Globe Award. So, yeah.
And rightly so as well, because it was really a progressive moment in Victoria, and there are a few people around the state going, look what Ballarat did. This was actually a really good whack of information, well, several whacks of information that were gleaned through that day.
Yeah, look, it's a tense space and we don't shy away from that, but we also believe that the relationship between the LGBTQI plus community and police can be better. And we know that there are people within the police force who are looking for that better relationship as well. So let's work on the strengths and the goodwill that exists between the communities in order to build those bridges and hold the police force to account through their commitment to change.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, because from my own personal world is, I have been fortunate through my life that any run-ins I've had with police have been, quite tame, in the scheme of things. I also understand that that hasn't been the thing for other people, that other people have had very different experiences. But I also know, given the system and the world we live in, that if somebody's house gets broken into, my car gets broken, I get bashed, I will be picking up the phone to ring the police because I have no other person to ring.
That's right. Look, this is the reality. This is the reality. A different way can be achieved, but we have to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we keep resting in the history and what's happened before, we'll never actually move ahead and get away from these moments.
That's right. Somebody's got to take the first step, and I'm really proud that Tiny Pride was a facilitator of
the Al Winters.
And the Al Winters, of course. We're really proud that collaboration supported the Ballarat community to take that first step here, to demonstrate what is possible.
Yeah. And it was amazing. The girls here, Dr. Sophie and Cheryl and Chloe, took cameras down to that and did a little bit of, documentation about what was happening. And there was police talks. Was there a First Nation voice in there?
There was a yarning circle, which I unfortunately didn't get to, but I've heard was just absolutely magnificent.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And there was also you held a bit of a breakout room.
So one of the sessions that I facilitated was a trans and gender diverse panel, where people with lived experience of being trans or gender diverse talked about their experiences of what a safer community would look like and feel like to them. And that was wonderful to hear, from those experts about what they see for the community moving forward. So there were a range of different, sessions running. It was like a little mini conference. It was a really fun day.
Yeah, it was great, and there was lots of information. I actually had to go that day because I had to go to Melbourne to go and get this Globe Award that was happening that day. Talking about awards. Thank you, Dr. Rachel Goff, for being on the show. I appreciate it so much. What I would like to say at this point, though, is for being on the show, I would like to give you this bag from Tiny Pride.
Oh my gosh,
so you can use that for your shopping. And
Thank you.
I wanted to give you a badge, but I left the badges at home, so I'm going to have to give you this one.
I've been admiring it all night.
This badge is from TBH Studios, handmade by Holly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Turfs make my see you next Tuesday dry.
You can actually say
I think my mum might be watching.
Hi, Mum.
Hi.
Here is a handbook for the Festival of Australian Queer Theatre.
Beautiful. Thank you.
There is the bumper edition, the bumper document here, what do I want to call it? The program for the Ballarat Pride Month happening here in Ballarat between the 1st to the 30th of June this year. Get yourself up here, it's going off.
Thank you.
And last but not least is this photograph of me saying, I was on Let's TV. So there you go, that's for you.
I'll hang this above the bed.
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife will be very pleased.
Well, better than being at the foot of the bed, like watching. Be a bit weird. I'd be putting it in the bathroom myself. And when I'm in the bathroom, I'm in like, give me something to look at on the back of the door.
So next time you come over to use the bathroom, you'll be looking at yourself.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing.
You're so welcome.
You with us, and it's been great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being had. We will be back with more Lance TV right after this. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Dr. Rachel Goff. If you'd like to know more about Tiny Pride, head over to Instagram and find them on tinypride.org. Lance TV will be back right after this. Facebook, how are you? Glad you've been enjoying the show. There's all of this murmur happening now. Shani Kane's saying yes, please, and I think that was in relation to catching up. I hope, well, unless it was something else they want to offer. Kim, hey, chair bro. Kim Halbert-Perret.
Hey, Kim.
Rach rocks. So does Tiny Pride and all the other initiatives that Rach and others, you know who you are.
That's right.
Work tirelessly on. You know what I mean? And there's a kiss at the end.
Oh, thanks.
And thanks to you too, Kim. Like you and Com and Kim do so much also in our community that goes a lot unseen, unsaid, but we know what you do. We know who you are. There's some strange person in the thread called Ange Allison. Oh gosh, it was going so well. And it might have been a reaction to the photo with the bag, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Lynn Lakes.
That's my mum.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey,
Love
Mum.
you, Rach. And there's the emoji with the love heart eyes.
Aw.
An amazing human you are. Well, Lynn, can I just say that Rachel is a reflection of the good upbringing that you've given her. How's that?
Butter her up.
Wow. I expect a batch of scones in the mail next week.
Pressed biscuits.
Yeah, right, okay. That's lovely. Good on you, Lynn. Lovely that you're watching us. Is Lynn from Lakes?
Lynn is from Lakes. Lynn grew up in Lakes.
Lynn Lakes from Lakes?
Yeah.
Ah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so Lynn's lived in Lakes for all of her life, except for a few years.
At the beginning?
No, in the middle.
So Lynn is actually, your family is generational
Yes.
Lakes entrance.
Yes.
Oh.
My gran spent some of her time in Orbost.
Yes.
But also Gran grew up in Wallace, in Creswick, and went to high school here in Ballarat.
Oh, gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, so deep roots to Wadawurrung country as well in my family. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and is that kind of part of the reason why you ended up back here, or? Welcome back. You're watching Lance TV, and it's time for All Over the Shop. On the 8th of June is the Winter Bush Doof down there in Wesleydale. That's down near Torquay Way somewhere. Looks as though it's going to be a fun time. At the Shepparton Showgrounds is the Glow Roller Disco and a silent disco with AITP. That looks very exciting. That's tomorrow. On Sunday the 9th, there is an olive brining workshop being held at 42A Dint Parade, Ballarat East, and that looks like a swathe of fun. Witchy Ways monthly gathering. It is a dusk event this time on Thursday the 13th of June from 7 o'clock. SWS 24, rounds 3 and 4. Yes, that's right. It is the statewide Stampede Roller Derby. That's at the Leisure Time Sports Precinct. On the 14th of June is the Pride Month Queer Sing-Along Night at Piano Bar Ballarat. Josh will be playing piano for all of us to sing along to. On the 15th of June, there is a Pride Swim and Gym at the Ballarat Aquatic Lifestyle Centre. That is proving to be a wonderful thing, and that starts at 6:15. On the 21st of June is the Big Spud Dinner at the Dean Community Hall. It's an annual fundraiser, and it's all about who can make the best potato dish. On the 23rd of June from 2 o'clock is the Qigong Winter Workshop here in Ballarat at the Akari Yoga Centre. On the 29th of June from 11am, Queer Stories as part of the National Gallery of Victoria in collaboration with the Australian Queer Archives of Australia. On the 23rd of August, Words in Winter Festival 2024 Connection of the Heart, Dalesford Springs in Dalesford. That's always a good event. Speaking about good events, Festival of Australian Queer Theatre is having their inaugural turn around the backyard from the 22nd to the 25th of August in various venues in Ballarat. Glowfest is coming up on the 5th of September for a whole week. Yes, it's a whole week at Crescent Heads in New South Wales. It is a circus, arts and lifestyle gathering. And on the 15th of November, the 162nd Grand Annual Kineton Show. No, we know it's Kyneton, at the Kyneton Showgrounds. It's showtime, everyone. Kyneton. It's Kyneton.
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 Yeah, Kyneton.
Coin.
Yeah, like Shepparton.
Makes it sound like you're passing
Yeah,
wind.
right. Yeah. You know what I've got from you all through this show tonight is that you really emit an authentic self. Is that just what you do normally, or?
It's really funny, you know, because so much of my job, I guess, being a lecturer, being a facilitator of people's learning, like, it's a performance, particularly if you're quite an introverted person like I am. So there has to be some thread of yourself that you bring into everything that you do. Otherwise, it would just consume you and exhaust you. And so there has to be something there that, you know, makes it worthwhile. And I think that, you know, it's taken a really long time to feel like all of those bits have lined up. But yeah, I've heard that the 40s are a decade of just really kind of cruising on into being your authentic self.
And
I'm feeling it.
And you're heading into
I'm
your
cresting
naughty 40s.
it. Naughty 40s.
When is it? Sunday? Monday? Today?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes. So little Gemini that I am. Yes.
It's a whole party going on there.
Yeah. I think it's taken a really long time to feel absolutely comfortable in my skin. And it's been really interesting, actually, you know, coming out for the first time when I was 22 and then having to renegotiate, you know, not straightness with, you know, this kind of religious framing of the world. And then, you know, I was amongst one of the how many 100,000 people who, you know, during COVID realised that they were non-binary thanks to TikTok, you know. And so then having to renegotiate identity again in your late 30s as an adult when you kind of thought that you had everything sorted. So feels like everything's just converged for me at the moment. Not to say that life isn't hard or life won't be hard, but I think when you've got that sense of knowing who you are, it's just a bit easier to know where you're going.
But it's the onion skins though, isn't it? And with the peeling of each layer of onion skin, there's going to be tears.
Yes.
You know, it's like peeling back to sort of find what's at the heart of something.
Of course.
is not an easy process.
Of course. And you know what? One of the things that I'm most proud of is being out in my workplace and being authentically me in my classrooms. Over the last 15 years of teaching, I cannot tell you the number of students who have come up to me after the end of a tutorial and said, I'm gay too. I'm a gay Christian too, or, you know, I've had to deal with this thing as well. And I mean, you know, I think queer people are always looking to and for other queer people to know that a future exists. And that's one of the things that I'm just really committed to and really proud of in my work and the work that I do. One of the things that I co-facilitate at my work is a student and staff pride collective.
Yes!
Yeah,
yes!
Where students are taking the lead in community organising and in mutual aid. And as a staff member, I can use the resources, the information and the knowledge that I have to come in behind that and to really support the work that students want to do, and at the same time co-create community with students. I don't do that work by myself. There are other staff members who, you know, we collaborate together to co-create that safe space for students. But yeah, it's a really important space.
That's amazing. And how big is that group?
Yeah, so we've only been sort of up and running for about 12 months now. And across our 5 programs, we've got about 25 students who are on the mailing list, and a good, I reckon, 10 who regularly come along to both our informal catch-ups and our more kind of social action-oriented meetings.
That's amazing. That's a great start. Like, only 12 months into it too, given all that stuff that's been happening. Well done to you.
Yeah.
Well done to everybody at your university. We need to wrap this up. I
So
know.
much to
Oh,
say.
there's so much more to say. We'll have to get you back on the show down the track. We'll get you another badge. You can weigh yourself up. Thank you so much. Dr. Rachel Goff, you've been amazing, as we knew you would be. To everybody who's watched the show tonight, thank you so much for tuning in and kicking it with us for the last hour. We'd like to say a big thank you to Breezy, who's been watching over us for the entirety of the show, and to everybody watching wherever you are. Please know that we love you. It is Pride Month, so yay about that. And for those around you and for you, remember, be kind. See you next week. We've got a great guest next week. See you next week.
Thanks for watching Lance TV. We'll be back same time next week. Lance TV is made possible through funding from the Community Broadcasting Foundation. I'm voiceover guy Randall Smith. See you next time.